to Speak, a platform where artisans can talk candidly about their work in the arts, and where they also have a chance to weigh in on some of the creative industry's biggest pressing issues today. My name is Jennifer DiMarco. I'm a filmmaker, poet, playwright, musician, core mechanic for games, and filmmaker. And today I'm speaking with Carrie Moriarty, the author, well, an actor, but also the author of Perception, the Shivers series, among others. Carrie, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks. This is going to be fun.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready.
I'm ready.
We have warm drinks, we have cold drinks, we have every book under the, well, actually we don't have every book under the sun you've ever published.
No.
Not by far.
No.
And we don't have every book under the sun that your beautiful face graces, because you're in graphic novels.
That's true.
You're in comic books. You're in all kinds of things.
That's true.
Now, you are an actor.
I am.
You are an author.
I am.
Any other hyphenates I should throw in there?
Well, I've done videography, and I've done directing, and I've done writing of plays too. Writing of
There we go.
scripts and stuff.
So truly,
Yeah.
everything creative, you've done it.
Yeah. I like words. I like to make stories.
And I was actually that's what I was going to say. Is it the words part that draws you? Is it the story part? Is it the visuals, whether they're mental or in front of you?
It's the story, I think, and that's probably the most important part of any medium is the story. I mean,
Agreed.
I'm playing a role playing game with my son and some friends of his and a friend.
And
of
you're a
mine.
gamer.
Yeah, I'm a gamer. I'm a geek. I'm a total geek. Caught me. But one of my son's the person in charge of it, the DM, and he's the one that's creating these stories and stuff. So, you know, I mean, and when he was doing one of his classes had to write he's doing computer programming. And so one of the classes he had to create this program, and he's like, guess what I get to do? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, write your own or choose your own adventure. I go, oh, I gotta write a choose your own adventure. I was very excited. So
Those are fun.
it was really fun, and I've never done it in an actual story.
Yes.
But I would love to. So that's something we have to talk about. But but it was fun to be able to do that in this tiny little piece and see how the concept worked. And so when we were getting ready to start this current gaming session that we're doing, he was like, okay, we got to pick your character. And so he's like, here's the books I have that have all of the character things. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm noob, so I don't know anything, so I need help. Yeah. So he walked me through, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? How do you want to, you know, all of these things.
Yes.
And so walked me through, and I did this thing, and I'm the tank.
Isn't it a fascinating experience being an author where, you know, you're creating your characters in your brain, and it's not like you're like, well, this kind of personality with this kind of moral code
and these kind of skill sets and this kind of
in gaming, you know, you kind of like a little bit of column A, and then over here,
right,
then
you've got this little bit of this, but I've got to, okay, well, if you want this kind of character, you have to choose, do you want this kind or that kind?
Yes.
And if you want that kind, well, then you could do this kind or that kind of that kind, and, you know, so all these little bits and pieces.
Yes.
With books and stuff, it just, the characters talk to me rather than me creating the characters.
Yes.
I mean, I have a general idea of what I kind of want to do.
Yeah.
Like the very first piece that I did was in this anthology from a long time ago.
Yeah. And that one is called Stardust.
Right.
And though it is not available anymore, your story in it is available. What's the name of your story?
It's called Brandy.
Cool.
And it's actually based on the song by the Looking Glass.
Oh, okay.
And
all right.
I originally was going to write a full-length novel on it and set it in Caribbean and set it in the 1500s and do it just like the song is. And then this concept came of, instead of a passport taking you around the world, it takes you around the universe. And so I'm like, oh, well, let's switch that and do it that way. And then I had a friend who was writing this whole epic fantasy novel series.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to put it in her world. And so I worked with a bunch of different pieces. So my main male character in that story is part of my friends. So it's like, yeah.
such a wonderful amalgamation.
Yeah.
We just had that word before the cameras were on. What a wonderful amalgamation of like a lot of things that you love.
Right.
And jumping back to you as a gamer for a minute, I always say authors who aren't gamers make me nervous. You know, because I'm like, to me, it's like gaming and especially role-playing games and being an author, they just go hand in hand.
Right.
An author who comes to me and says, yeah, I tried, you know, tabletop gaming, I tried role-playing and it just didn't speak to me. And I'm like, how?
Right.
How did it not speak to
I
you?
had a friend who came to me because she's mutual friends with myself and another author, and the other author was super busy, and so we ran into each other at the grocery store, and she was like, so I want to write, but I don't want to ask her. So I know you write. So can I ask you some questions? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So we got to talking about characters and how you build them and da 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 da.
Yeah.
And she's like, so basically it's just like building a character in D&D, and I just roll the dice and see what you get. I'm like, exactly. I go, that's how you're doing your story. Exactly like that. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Make your character choose. They choose to do option A. Okay, well, I didn't like that, so back up and choose option B then.
Sure, why not?
The fun thing about doing it in a book is you could back up and choose a different option. In a game, you're stuck with your option,
That's
which
very
is how
true.
I ended up stuck inside of a mimic that was a chest. In the game. It was annoying. And I couldn't use my sword because it was stuffed in the middle of the chest. And I couldn't do anything.
And all you'd have to do is just backspace.
Right? Right? Just highlight, delete.
There you go.
Love that button.
Before someone who has never explored your work before dives in,
Right.
give me Carrie 101. What should they know about you or your work? If you could tell them one thing.
One thing.
Okay, 5 things.
That's really hard.
Hang on, let me roll a die.
Wait, let me
18
see.
things.
Okay. Can I get a nat 20?
Yeah.
So I love love. And so love is a very, very prominent theme in almost every single thing I write. Not everything is romance, and not every love is a romantic love.
Right, love.
But love, in the grander scheme of things,
the
is
bigger
almost
sense.
always a big portion of what I write. I also love to look at the world and then shift it. Either shift it with some sort of paranormal bend or some sort of different alternate universe type bend or some whatever kind of bend.
Is that why you chose perception?
Perception? Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because so that was a 1-year thing, and we were given
That was
something.
the Trinity Project,
Right,
which
and
our watchers know a lot about. You were one of the 9
I
authors.
was one of the 9
yes.
authors, and so we were given a prompt,
Yeah.
and 9 different people chose to take that prompt in a different direction.
Right.
Every single one of them.
Absolutely.
Which is fantastic. And some of those turned very dark. I had one that turned very, very, very dark, and I was like, I tried to make it happily ever after, and I couldn't. I'm like, I expanded the story well past what I sent in.
Just
and I was
trying.
like, I was just trying. I want this to be happy. And I could, it wouldn't. It kept saying, nope. It noped me right on out of there.
I love
So
that.
I had to take that all out. And so it ends in absolute sadness and tragedy. It is an absolute tragedy. And it was heartbreaking to write because, oh my gosh. And then there was another one that I wrote that I was like, oh, this is totally going to be a horror and I'm going to have da-da-da-da-da. And then it was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So then I had to go back and start again, and it turned out to be absolutely beautiful and wonderful.
Is it a feeling in your, when you say, and I love this, and this has been certainly a huge theme this season, is this idea of there is no right way or wrong way to be an author, right?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Some authors feel very strongly their characters are living creatures, living people on another plane, or just so realized, and they guide the story. And other authors are like, nah, I tell my, But I love this idea of you try to attempt really pushing, like, come on, let's get to the happy place,
Right.
Or, no, this is going to be horror.
No, this is going to be an absolutely wonderful, delightful thing.
And is it a feeling you get in your gut? Is it something more?
It's kind of, it's hard to explain, but I think what happens is I get stuck and I can't go forward. I had that happen on a book that I wrote. I started it forever ago.
Yeah.
And I started writing it, and a character asked a question, and it said, do you want to know why? And the other character said, yes, I do. And I'm like, yes, I do. And the character sat there and went, figure it out. Wow. Literally 3 months, that character, he sat there and looked at me going, you'll get there. Don't worry. You'll get there. Eventually you'll get there. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
And when you're left, when a character leaves you in that place, is it like, okay, I need to, like the character's a lawyer, I need to research more about, or the character's an orphan, or he went through the foster suit, I need to do...
No.
It's just completely organic. You live your life.
Writer's block is my imaginary friend stop talking to me. So, Raphael decided that he was not going to have a conversation with me. He just said, you'll figure it out. And every time I went back and I'm going through and I'm like, I can do this. Nope. Literally, it took me 3 months, and I'm in the shower and I'm washing my hair, and all of a sudden Raoul says, so you know I'm a wolf, right? I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, so there was no paranormal to this story at all, and that's what the problem was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, it was not, it was a contemporary romance. Not at all what I expected.
Or so you thought.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So usually my story comes to me. Lots of times I will have an idea for a story. So like right now I'm working on a story under my other pen name, which is that book.
Yes, because you write under Carrie Avery Moriarty, and you also write under
C.M. Kane.
C.M. Kane. Okay. Right. And is it a genre shift?
Part of it is under my Carrie Avery Moriarty. I'm connected with several things that are very, very conservative and very, and they like to keep things conservative, and I'm totally fine with
like family friendly?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
cool.
PG-13.
Wonderful.
You know, maybe light R kind of things. Sure. Kane gets to swear and say all the bad words. Okay. Kane gets to throw sex on the page. Kane gets to do all the things that Carrie can't.
Gotcha.
So it's two different...
Everything that happens behind closed doors.
Right. With Carrie, they hugged, they shut the bedroom door, and then the next morning they woke up. Wonderful. With Kane, they hugged, they shut the bedroom door, and they jumped in bed, and we get to see the whole thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
That's fair. That's so fair.
Yeah. So I always wanted to... I never wanted to push the envelope so much, and Kane lets me do that. I mean, and it sounds really weird to talk about myself in the third person, but truly it is. I mean, that author part of me is a separate person than this author part of me, and both of those author part of me's are part of me, but they're not all of me.
Absolutely. Right. They are both personas. They are writing personas.
Right.
Yeah.
They are this hat or this hat. And
I like that.
So,
Yeah, and the real Carrie is somewhere.
Right. And I'm a combination of them.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I kind of feel like that's your 101.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's almost like if you're going to explore my work, first of all, know that it's under two names. And though I do hear what you're saying, love. Right. But not just romantic love.
Not just romantic love. Because this
all forms of love.
So this Kane project, in Unnerving 3, is, so the other thing about Kane is I get to write all baseball stuff, and I love baseball. So
Carrie doesn't write baseball?
No.
Oh, I'm going to see. Now that I didn't know.
No, Carrie doesn't write baseball.
Okay.
Only Kane writes baseball. Okay. Which I know, it sounds really weird. But
is Kane a woman author?
No.
These are the things I don't know. Well, that's why I love doing these interviews.
Well, and the other thing is my muse is male. Most people's muse are female. They think of, the muses of old.
Yeah.
The Greek muses.
Yes.
Or they think of the muses from, like, the Hercules movie.
Oh,
the dancing muses.
Yes, right.
They always make me laugh. They always make me laugh. My muse is male. And I always thought it was really weird that my muse was male. I thought it for a really long time until I read that Stephen King's muse is also male.
Yeah.
Yeah. His muse sits in the basement, smokes cigars, swears at him, and tells him he's stupid. Go figure that one.
Yeah, I think I have some muses like that.
Yeah. But my muse is male. And it always has been. I mean, from the time I was itty bitty. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I've always had a male muse, which I always thought was weird. And so that's probably why I didn't understand that was my muse. Mm-hmm. I always thought that was just, one of my imaginary friends chatting at me.
Sure.
It is. It's just the biggest imaginary friend.
Yeah, it's the most inspiring imaginary friend.
Right. It's the imaginary friend that says, here's your assignment, go do it.
Mm-hmm. Now, so, I have to derail us just for a moment. As an actor, talk to me about your process there, because you're also creating a character there.
Oh,
you're given a basic framework, right? But you are given a character there. Mm-hmm. How is it similar to creating a character in one of your books or stories?
So, I think Clyde is probably the perfect example of that. So, that character.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, you're like,
Oh, yeah.
So, Clyde was created for me
in
Angels of Anarchy.
Yes, and you were going to play that character in the live-action feature film,
right?
Angels of Anarchy, Anarchy
right.
of Angels.
An Anarchy of Angels.
And then the pandemic happened, it became an animated film, you voiced it, but then you also wrote her backstory.
Right.
And that's been published. Okay,
right.
Now
so
we're all
I wrote,
caught up.
Right.
So Clyde is not Carrie.
Right.
In the least.
No.
There are so many things that are different about Clyde than me.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yeah.
But I had to find her within the framework that I was given for the story to create those 3 short stories. So I had to take these rules that were very, very, very solid.
Yeah.
And then build my character within that box. Doesn't normally happen that way. Normally, no. And that's like the teatro,
Helena is a very, very specific character.
Yes, you play one of the leads, Helena, in the series Teatro de Freak.
Right.
Yes.
And I very much love Helena. Mm-hmm. I feel like Helena is closest to me than most any character I've ever played. And I think that's because you've written her to me.
Absolutely. Very tailored to you. And I think the co-creator and producer on that series, Faith DiMarco, also knows you.
Right.
And was very much like, okay, these elements are important. This is what I really like about Carrie as a person. This is what I find arresting.
Right.
Both of us, I should say, we find you to have this incredible balance of the maternal and the head of household, for lack of a better term. Like, I am the indisputed leader in this moment.
I am the queen.
And
I will make you subject to my rule.
Exactly. But I'm going to show you, I'm going to illustrate why my way is the best way.
Right. I love you enough to make sure that you do what is best for you.
Yes. I am looking out for each of you as well as the family.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Helena is a perfect example of how I'm very much like Helena in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. And yet there are so many things that I am so different about her.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like all of these things. So when I eventually write her backstory.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to build her within the box of the world. Mm-hmm. But I have a whole lot more leeway with her than I did with Clyde. Mm-hmm. Because Clyde is a great character and I love Clyde and Clyde is fantastic.
Thank you.
But Clyde is not me.
No.
And so different from me.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
Clyde is, well, first of all, let's just begin with, Clyde has a very masculine spine, let's just say. She has this core that's very masculine. Mm-hmm. I almost want to say she's gender fluid, but I don't think that is true.
She's slightly gender fluid.
Yeah.
Just that she has a lot of masculine
traits, behaviors. I'm not quite sure how to say it.
Yeah.
But she's also very brazen.
Oh,
she's very... I get the impression from Clyde, no one is beyond her charm. She feels.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
She could just come in and seduce anyone.
I mean, she could walk right up to the Pope and say, love me because I'm gorgeous.
Exactly.
And that's exactly.
In her men's suit jacket
in
with
her
like
jacket
a cigar
with her cigar and a fedora.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, she could walk into a room and say, hello, I'm here. Everybody love me.
Right.
That's absolutely the way she is.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic. Not me.
No.
I mean, I don't have a problem walking into the room and saying, hello, I'm here, everybody love me.
I'm fantastic.
I'm
Yes.
wonderful. I'm fantastic.
Yeah.
Everybody love me. But it's very different than what
Absolutely.
Clyde does.
And I think, like, for instance, with Helena, I agree. Helena is a great character. You play her so well. She comes across as very authentic. But Helena has a huge blind spot. She does keep toxic people in her inner circle. And I think on some level she knows.
She sees
she
the good
wants
in them.
to trust. She feels like she can bring out the best.
If I
And
love
feel
you
like-
just enough more.
Yes.
If I can get my love into
Yeah.
your heart.
Yes. And I feel like you, Carrie, the person, are like, no, wait. No, I don't want you around these other people that I love. I'm going to create separation.
Look,
I'm going to create distance.
I love you, but
Yeah.
you're not going to be with this person here.
Yes, exactly.
And you two are not going to be in the same room because all y'all will get in a fist fight and we ain't going to have that.
Yeah, and I think you do that really well and in a very classy way. And I've actually always really appreciated that.
Thank you.
But I do see that as, I'm like, oh, okay, this is where Carrie gets to stretch because Helena has these blind spots.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
That's interesting. But
Oh, yeah.
no more about Helena.
Oh,
My
my love
goodness.
Helena.
Okay.
All right.
Oh my gosh. Actually, I had a note here that we already know about you that you are brave because you did the Trinity Project and folks have
Yes.
heard about the Trinity Project. But to me, the other thing that makes you Carrie 101, you are brave, is you were also a participant in the 50K marathon documentary
I was.
about NaNoWriMo,
Yep,
which we've talked
which-
about, National
Novel Writers Month.
Thank you. And you're doing,
I'm doing
that
it
again this year.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what I
and
want.
I'm
ahead even, and I only wrote 1,000 words at lunch today, so I'm still over 1,000. The words that I did at lunch
Yes.
is how much ahead I am. Actually, I'm more than that ahead.
And tell folks about that because that is also something that's been coming up in these interviews, Carrie, is you write at work.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. So I have a day job. I have an office job. That's what I call it, is my office job, because I go into an office. I didn't in 2020 because, the world stopped and everybody hibernated.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that thing.
That thing. But we're back in the office now.
Yeah.
And so I work from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. I have a 1 hour lunch from 1 to 2. My lunchtime is 1 to 2. There's 2 admins in our office. One goes from 12 to 1. I go from 1 to 2. From 1 to 2, I sit in our little kitchen area. I pull up my laptop. I pull up the manuscript I'm working on and I plug away. And I just go. And sometimes I have to stop, and sometimes I get 500 words, and sometimes I get 1,800 words. And honestly, it just depends on how the characters are going. Like today, it was a struggle to get started. Jonathan was having an issue, and he wasn't being polite, and I got a little annoyed. No, it was Lucy. Actually, yeah, it was Lucy. So Lucy was having an issue because she was trying to have this conversation with her friend, and I was having a hard time getting this conversation out. And so I got that done and jumped into Jonathan, and Jonathan was all kinds of happy. So
Well, I love illustrating this, that for some authors, they need a din. I mean, just the chaos of the city. In some, it has to be dead of night, absolutely silent, only on a weekend, where they have you only on a Saturday night, or whatever it is.
Or I have to sit in this one space.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
thing.
Yeah.
And
I've been writing for longer than I've been at this job. And the whole time I've been at this job, my writing at this job, I've done really well at my lunch break. I've always done really well while I'm at this. I've been at this job 12 years. This next week it'll be 12 years. And I do really well at lunchtime.
It's nice because you found a balance with
work-life
your office / day job,
Right.
And your creative work, and that's I think vital, and it shows staying power. It's like, okay, this is a good balance. Let's stay here. Sounds good.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that I write really well. I can't talk, but I can write really well.
It's also really cold tonight, so it's
actually
okay.
not. I'm
fine.
good.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
I'm totally
Good.
fine. I write really well in that room, and I know that.
Anytime I call it, I'm flying solo. So if I'm the only admin in the office, I usually sit at my desk, and so I just pull my laptop out and plop it up on my desk, and I eat my lunch and type on my computer, and I answer the phones and deal with the door and all the things,
Right.
Because you just do it. But usually I do fairly well. Most of the time I get right around 1,000, 1,200 words at lunch. That's usually what I get. Today I got like 1,007 or something. So And then all of this month, I've been coming home and writing when I get home. Monday is my gaming night with my son. So the first was a Monday. I only got $500 or $600. I wish.
Wait. NaNoWriMo is $1 a word?
Apparently.
I got 500 or 600 words at lunch, so I knew I was going to have to write after gaming.
So we game. I usually get home about 5:15, so our game starts at 5:30. So I have time to come in and change out of my grown-up clothes and into sweats and a t-shirt because I want to be comfortable. And because that. And so we game till about 7:30 or so. We have one player who's on the East Coast, so they're 3 hours ahead. So,
okay.
So we have we play till about between 7 and 8 is when we stop. And then I had to get my words in. You're required to get 1,667 words a day in order to make the 50,000. So I only had like 500 or 600, so I still had 1,000 words to get.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, I'll just plug away, and so I did. I just jumped in there, and I ended up with like 2,700 words.
But see, I have to admit, because like you've already spoken really honestly about writer's block. You're like, well, my characters won't speak to me. That's what I consider writer's block. And I'm like, okay, cool, okay, gotcha. But I also love the way you're like, okay, I'm finding this work-life balance, but let me rephrase that. You're finding the work-creative balance, but you're also finding the creative life balance. I love how you're like, well, I'm going to do NaNoWriMo, but I still am a mother. And this is a thing I do with my son on Mondays. It's not going away in November.
Yeah.
So I am going to make it work.
You have to fit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, literally, I have
A spreadsheet that has 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock, something in the morning, till like 10 o'clock at night, 1 hour each. And I plugged in where my work is, and I plug in when I write for lunch, and I plug in I'm gaming on Monday for these 3 hours. Yeah. So I have 2 extra hours at night if I go to bed at 10. I do this on this day, this on this day. I go see my mom 1 day a week. I have, so the weekend I do 2 big chunks of writing. Some weekends I don't have days to write. So like we have, my daughter just moved, and so this last Saturday we took my mother-in-law's van full of stuff in her basement over to my daughter's house, and so most of the day was gone. So I only got to write in the afternoon and evening that day. Sunday I was home. I wasn't feeling great, and you just got to do it.
Right.
And so I didn't get very many words this last Sunday, but
you made.
But I was over the. But I got like 350 words on Saturday, which is the lowest day so far. See, but even with those 350 words, I was still above where I needed to be.
Well, that's because first of all, congratulations. Yeah. That's fantastic. I like this though, because you are a interesting balance I'm coming to see between an author who writes on inspiration, someone who relies on that spark, that conversation with the characters, but also you're like, no, this is my writing time. I will be writing now. Maybe I'm going to get 15 words. Maybe I'm going to wind up revising or editing or whatever. But this is my writing time.
Right. This is
my dedicated.
This
creative
is my
time.
office work job. This is my dream job time.
This is and that's the thing that I've learned a lot in the last 2 or 3 years specifically, is that if I want to be an author full time and be able to give up my day job, which that is my ultimate goal, is to be able to write full time all day, every day. Yeah, that is my ultimate goal. I have to put in the work. Yeah, a dream is a dream, but a goal is a dream with a deadline. I mean, I know. Okay, I've put a deadline for this book. I want to release it on my birthday at the end of the year. Yeah, I have to have it finished by the end of the month. I have to write the 50,000 words.
I absolutely have to.
Now, please tell me you're self-publishing.
Yes.
See, this has also come up in other episodes of Speak, and my statement was, I think every author, perhaps, should be required to self-publish at least once, because I think it is such an incredible experience.
Right.
And
I have a cover already. And the fact that I've been connected to authors for several years. Yeah. And authors who are prolific and who this is their job. Right. And this is their whole income.
Yeah. Right. They're author / publisher / marketer. They're doing everything.
They do all the things.
Yeah. I've learned what good covers are, what good editing is, what good blurbs are. I've learned a lot of things. I'm also taking several courses that are teaching me all the things. So it's important to know where to go to find the information. So like for this book, I have the cover. It's not complete because he hasn't changed, the cover artist hasn't changed the title on it, hasn't put my name on it, and hasn't put the series name on it and all of the bits and bobs, and hasn't put the blurb on the back and all of the things. But I have the cover. Literally, I have an image of it. I can show people. This is going to be the cover. It's not called this. It's called this other thing, but this is it.
But still,
Yeah, so I have the cover. I have my editor lined up. I have, and my editor is also my formatter, so she's going to do both those pieces.
Wonderful.
And I've talked to her about learning how to do it myself, so at least the
layout part.
The layout part. Yeah, formatting. No,
Sorry, we've talked about the importance of editors as well. So, not cutting out the editor, but
I will
being
edit,
able to format
right.
yourself.
I will edit my work before I send it out, but I know I'm not smart enough to edit my own work. And I've lived in this world, so I know what's not said.
And right, yes, we've touched on that, and also just that fact that your eyes have seen this so many times.
Right, I've read the red dog, or da 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 da.
Right.
What do you mean? There's two thes in the middle of there?
Yeah, you're like literally staring.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right there. No, it's not. It's right there.
Yeah.
So I know that I need somebody else to review my work.
And the editor that I've got, she's been editing for a long time.
Yeah.
She knows what she's doing. She's really, really good at what she does.
Did you find someone? Did you look for someone who had specifically worked in your genre? Or
so this was a referral from another author who we're in a similar genre in that we both write romance. But
I always think it's important that editors are not one size fits all. It's kind of like a good therapist. You got to find someone that really meshes with you, and you can't be afraid to try someone else.
And the thing is if I have a broken ankle, I don't want to go to a shoulder guy.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So
love that.
I mean, I work. My day job is working with workers' comp patients, clients. So I work in a law firm, and so I know the importance of the right specialist for the job. Like people call us for, well, do you do this kind of law? No, we don't.
Right. Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
So finding somebody who specializes in what you do is great. And not all editors are the same, and not all editors are good at what they do, and not all editors are fast enough for what you want. So I've had a conversation with her. I've said, my goal is to be able to release it on my birthday, which is December 30th. She's like, well, I'm out of the office starting December 23rd, so it would have to be done by then, so I need the manuscript by this date.
There you go.
We've just worked it backwards.
And now you've got your deadline. And now the dream becomes a goal.
I have a dead deadline.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
See, that's what I love. And I mean, I know that, we're recording the entire first season of Speak before any of the episodes start to post. And I really, for this first season, at first I didn't care.
Right.
But then I said, no, I really do want that, because I don't want any of the authors, any of the guests to feel like, people have already said this or this. I want you to say, hey, this is what I do, and this is why I do it. Right or wrong. This is why I do it.
Yeah.
This is me, candidly, openly.
Right.
And
this is why I have 2 pen names. I have a friend who has 2 pen names because she writes 2 different genres.
Yeah.
If I was to write children's book, I would not write children's books under the Kane author name.
It's very interesting that you bring that up. It's very interesting that you bring that up, I have to say. I mean, we could talk about that later. No, very, very early in my career, someone said to me, actually an editor, a novel editor for adult novels, said, I overheard you talking to someone about a children's book that you just got optioned. You're going to write that under a different name, right? And, I was very young. This was the first portion of my career. So I was very, very young, under 20 type of young.
You were a baby.
Right. And so I was like, oh, whatever you say, and I did that. Everything was fine. But I felt like I was having to run 2 completely separate careers. Like nothing that helped one career helped the other. No promotion. There was no crossover whatsoever. And it was exhausting. And so then decades literally passed, and I said, no, forget it. Get rid of that nom de plume, that pen name. just do it all under my name. And boy, oh boy, now I have come to regret that again. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh, the fan mail, oh,
right,
oh my goodness.
I picked up one of you wrote this children's book, and I picked up this other book by you, and it's just full of all these naughty things.
NC-17, yes. So it really is. I think that ultimately it is a decision that you have to make. It is so
if I were to
personal.
do children's books, I would do it under a different name, even a third pen name.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I would want my grandkids to read even the Shiver series. Mm-hmm. They're very tame. They're very simple. They're very honest. They're sweet and they're great.
Absolutely. Well, and they're by Carrie, not by Kane.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
And so, but even those, I mean, I would say probably 14, 15, 16 and up would be a good age for that particular one. If I was writing for younger kids, you know, if I was writing like for middle grades or something else, I would pick a third name because I know.
Yeah.
It's why I picked Kane as a second pen name, because Kane can do all the things that Carrie can't.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think it's totally fair. Yeah. I mean, it is an intensely personal decision.
Oh, yeah.
But
and I know people who are like, no, this is my name, and if you don't like it, too bad.
Right. I'm just like, wow, well, you're brave.
I know.
So one of the things we do on Speak, Carrie, is we ask one or two questions for the whole season of all of our guests.
Right.
And I really, honestly and truly don't believe there are right or wrong answers. And I have to admit, in some cases, I don't even think there is an answer. You know, it's a problem that exists. But I know you have heard this idea of, and let's just call a spade, Amazon is killing the bricks and mortar stores. And I always like to say bricks and mortar instead of real world, because I do like to point out the
Amazon
internet
is
the real world.
Yes.
What we do on the internet
goes out in the world.
Everybody
sees
much.
it.
Maybe we could all open up to that fact a little bit more.
Right?
But
I'm sorry, once it's on the internet, it never goes away.
It's so true though.
Yeah.
So and that it impacts people. And that it impacts the people, not just the people in our immediate community, but anyone who sees what we post and the way that we're posting.
Right.
But in terms of Amazon and the bricks and mortar stores,
Right.
do you feel that online stores are killing the bricks and mortar stores? Is this just the evolution of the book selling business? And perhaps most personally, when you are going to buy a book to read, where do you buy?
So I think the internet and the interwebs vast thing is fantastic because people on the other side of the planet can pick that book up.
Yeah.
That's just totally amazing to me. But if I go online, I don't have somebody I can ask a question of. That's the thing that I love, and it depends on what I'm looking for as to what I do. I go to a lot of author signings. I mean, I haven't but I
normally
when
the world is not on fire,
when the world has not stopped and everybody's and it's a whole dumpster fire. Normally in the real world, I go to author signings. I meet authors. I talk to them. I find out what they write, and I pick up some books directly from the author. Yeah, and I'm very much about picking up directly from the author.
I think authors make more money when that way.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, that has to be a given. If anyone learns one thing,
yeah,
always buy directly from the author.
If you can,
any possibility, if you have that possibility.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
And the thing is the internet gives you that option too. I mean, my website has a place where you can buy signed paperbacks.
Love that. Oh, yes. So that's a good point. That's also a better chance at getting an autographed copy.
Yes.
That's a very good point.
Yes.
Like
so if I go to a signing, I will buy a book and I will get it signed. And my husband hates it because I have a whole room full of books, and my son hates it because I have a room full. There's no more room for your books.
It's called a library.
I need a library. I'm sorry, I'm not Belle with her library. So I love doing that. That's my ultimate first choice.
Yeah.
I love the convenience of ebooks. I absolutely love it because I can take my phone and wherever I am, I will have a book with me.
Yeah.
But I love to walk into a store and say, I like this kind of book. Do you have something that fits that? My daughter really likes this kind of TV show. What books fit that?
Yes.
My son loves these kind of geeky things. What fits that? I mean, those are not questions you can type into a search engine and find a book for.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can. If you type in this title of TV show, what kind of books are like that? Sure, you might get a list, but
it's not the same as.
But usually not at the store, like at Amazon. You know, you could type in
if you type The Walking Dead.
Yeah, thank you. The Walking Dead. First of all, it's going to bombard you with, of course, all things Walking Dead first.
Right.
But way before it's going to veer off into things like this.
Right.
Because even the people who bought this it's usually going to be
more Walking Dead.
As we've talked about on Speak Before, more of the same. It amplifies the same.
Right.
As opposed to saying, would you like to branch a little bit this way? Would you like to branch?
Right.
You know, this is dystopian. It's zombie. So here's dystopian zombie, but it's not Walking Dead.
Right. And that's the thing. My daughter loves The Walking Dead. That's why I said she loves The Walking Dead. So I went into
the store a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. I was like, I'm going to get books for all the peeps.
Yeah.
So I'm like, my daughter loves The Walking Dead, and she loves dystopia stuff. I need to know what you have that fits that bill. So they said, okay, we have this and this and this and this and this. And here's why I'm saying that. This book is about this. This book is about this. This book is about this. And so I got this whole list, like 3 pages of different options that were all across the board in the types of books that they were. But they all were in that dystopian type of feel. You know, so you can't walk into
the internet and ask somebody.
No, the algorithms are just not good.
Quite.
Yeah, right. It's like they're not
eventually
there.
Maybe they'll get there.
Maybe.
But that's a little terrifying.
Like it's not just the one-on-one that you get at a bricks and mortar store, but rather the educated, literate in the various genres. I think that's the best of all worlds, is when you walk in and you say, oh, you know what? Susan is our local sci-fi expert. Let me just get her. Susan comes over. Susan can help me. Right, yeah.
Susan knows. So I really liked this book, and it was XYZ. Do you have anything kind of like that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's in this area, and I loved these books, and I'll tell you why. Nobody picks up these books, but they are really good, and I don't know why anybody doesn't believe in these. It's like,
love that.
Yeah, those are the kinds of things that you will find when you go into a store. And that doesn't mean like a brand new bookstore. It works in used bookstores too.
Yes.
So like when I'm looking for research material, so like my research material for my fairy series, I'm like, I want stuff that nobody thinks about in the fairies. I want to write fairy stories about fairies that are not fairies.
Yeah,
you know,
right, in the traditional, stereotypical
the
sense.
tiny little winged creatures. I don't want to write all the tiny little Tinkerbells. I don't want to write all that. I want to be able to write more.
Yeah.
So that's where you can get those kinds of things too. So if you're an author and you want to branch out, like, oh, I want to write a mystery. I wonder. Like, I found a book at a used bookstore that was on poisons. And it was
cool.
Right? And so my story in Unnerving, the first volume, uses something that I learned in that poison book. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I love used bookstores, so.
Right?
Yeah.
And the fun thing is used bookstores will have authors in to do signings.
Yes.
With their new books.
Yes, that is true.
Which is so fantastic.
Actually, you bring up a really good point, because I have touted the wonders of used bookstores this season. But you're right, it's not all used books. Used bookstores are often more open to having local authors come in, but also national authors will have stops on tours when folks are touring again.
When that happens in the world.
We all love that we're all just laughing about it.
Yeah, we all have to add that caveat of when it happens again.
Right.
I mean, I did 2 signings this summer.
Okay, cool.
That were out of state. So I went to Deadwood and I went to Lexington, Kentucky, and did signings in both of those cities. So that was fun. And in February, I'm going down to San Diego, and so they're coming back.
Yes,
traveling is coming back, and it's happening again.
But it's just not. Let's just say, as long as we're not rushing it, which I don't feel we are. I think we're doing great.
The airlines are still mandating masks.
Yes.
Most places are still mandating masks.
Yeah.
And a lot of places aren't. And
you make your decisions, and again, we have to continue to live our lives, so I get that. We have to live in a way that is safe, that we feel comfortable.
Right. You have to know what you feel comfortable with.
Exactly.
If you're not comfortable going out to a signing, don't go.
Right, just don't go.
Don't go. There's nothing wrong with that.
I love your idea of, look up the author online, find their personal website. I bet you can get an autographed copy.
Right.
And any
or
author who
find them on social media.
Yes.
And send them a message, because I get messages all the time, and I'm like, hey, I can,
because some authors, that is their website. They don't have
a domain that they do.
Absolutely.
I do, just because I bought it because I could.
I always say that I'm always struck that it's like millennials and Gen Zers that they'll say, oh, this is my website, and it's their Facebook author profile, or it's their Instagram, or it's their TikTok, or it's their whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whereas Gen X and back still, at least what I'm seeing in general, is we do still tend to have our own personal sites.
Yeah.
Now, you said something about you want to write fairies different, and that's going to tie right into our next question.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to circle back to that.
Okay.
600,000. So it's a little bit more than 1 million novels.
500,000.
500,000. I'm sorry.
You can math. It's okay.
At least, I know. At least I've done it correct in every other episode, Carrie.
I'm the one to call you out because it's what I do.
Thank you. So just over 500,000 novels published in America alone every year. Now, they could be self-published, they could be corporate published, they could be indie published, whatever it is.
Right. Somehow they make it out
to the public. How can an author possibly distinguish themselves from
the other 600,000?
Exactly. And this is the one where I say maybe there isn't an answer to this question, but the algorithms, they're not great.
No.
The bookstores, well, the chain and corporate stores, they've got limited shelf space. More than half the store is not books, often, because they've got overhead.
Right. They have to pay their bills, and so they have knickknacks and who's its and what's its galore.
Exactly. And the books that are on their shelves do tend to be more of the canonical classic. There's not a lot of indie authors there. Right. They're mostly mass markets. Then we have the independent stores, which again, oh my gosh, so they're competing with Amazon. They're competing with their closest corporate or chain store. They probably have completely different ordering terms from their distributor.
And they have a way smaller space too.
Yes. So what is the solution? How do more authors get discovered?
So it's a several-fold. I was going to say a two-fold, but no, it's not.
No, it's like origami.
Yeah, it's like 75 different folds, and that's just the first portion.
That's right. We've got mountain fold, we've got valley fold, we've got everything in between.
We've got all the folds.
Yep.
So part of it is learning how to market and learning how to use the algorithms in your favor. So if you write a book on sports romance, go look at the #1 selling books in sports romance. What are their keywords? What are their things that they do?
Yeah.
What are things about those books that are similar enough to your books that you can market similarly?
So find your comps, as a real estate agent might say.
Right. Find the things that sell like what you write. Part of it's writing to market, because romance is the #1 selling genre, period. And then romance has like 75 sub-genres.
Right.
Dinosaur erotica is a thing.
Oh my.
Oh, you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm learning things every interview.
So here's the thing. If that can exist, people will buy my books.
Yeah.
And it's a huge market, too. There's a dude anyways.
Those tiny little arms and the T-Rex, I know. I'm never going to think of them in the same way. This is so exciting.
Okay,
Carrie.
So, anyways, find what you write, and Amazon is a great place to go find it. They have the top #1 sellers. You can go to Amazon, and I don't know how you type it in, but you can type in #1 bestsellers in sports romance, or #1 sellers in cozy mysteries, or #1 sellers in YA dystopian, or #1 sellers in children's books. Whatever it is, you type it in, it'll give you the number one list.
Explore Amazon. It is a huge resource.
It's a resource.
It's not just a bookstore.
Right? It's a resource.
And it's pretty transparent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, from your author profile,
yeah,
you can get sales reports of your own work and how it's selling.
Yep.
You can see rankings for various genres. You can see the BISAC codes, which is a fancy way of saying the incredibly detailed categories with subcategories with subcategories of breakdown.
All the way down.
Yep, all the way down.
The choose your own adventure. All the way down. But so you find those things and you can write to market. So that's a way that you can get pushed up to the top. The other thing is you're never...
clarify that. Just before you go on, I want you to clarify that. So you're not saying write to market in the sense of pen for hire, you don't care about it, you're just writing formula fiction. You're saying look at your story, find your market, and make sure you are not either being derivative or veering so far outside your market that your audience is going to be like, wait.
That's not what I signed up for. Why is there
suddenly a pony? Right. Yeah.
That's not what I signed up for.
Yeah.
So,
if you're going to write sports romance, you need to know what sports romance readers expect. If you're going to write science fiction, or you're going to write fantasy, or you're going to write an epic fantasy, or you're going to write historical fiction, or you're going to write whatever, know what your audience expects.
Boil it down, find that subject.
Right. Find out what it is that makes these books bestsellers. And it could be because they all have boys without shirts on them. I mean, I've seen pictures from bookstores where it says, "Help me, I've lost my shirt," and it's all the pictures of the guys without the shirt on.
So, I mean, if that's what sells in your genre, that's what sells in your genre.
So don't fight it when your illustrator, your cover designer says, "I really think your character should have no shirt on," and you're like, "No, that's your genre."
But here's 75 covers for the top 75 sellers. And every single one of them is a guy without a shirt.
Right.
So know what your audience expects as far as as far as content.
Yeah.
Know what your audience expects from your cover. Read the blurbs. Write your blurbs so that it's gonna fit that genre.
Yeah.
All of those things are going to help you within that specific thing. So that's the first thing. I mean, know what you want to write and figure out how to make sure that it fits in the box that the world has given you.
Yeah.
Which stinks because who wants to fit in a box? I think boxes should be shoved on the shelves or in the garage and don't have a place unless you're moving.
Absolutely. But I like you're like, all I want to do is write for a living. I don't want to write just to write. I mean,
I do want to write to write.
Right, absolutely. But when you're like, if my goal with my deadline is to write for a living, then I do need to play some of these games.
Right.
I do need to fit myself into some of these boxes.
Some of these categories.
And then I guess the twist really comes then in the story itself.
Absolutely.
That's where you get to be yourself. But the way it is wrapped, the way it's presented,
right? The package,
needs to
the
follow
presentation
rules.
Needs to,
yeah.
And
I did a search for when I was doing a course that we did. I did it for a friend for her ladies group at her church, and then we filmed it. So I did a search to find out, because my philosophy is there is no new story. Every story has been told. And so I took Cinderella because most people know Cinderella.
Yeah.
I looked on Amazon and there was like 25 per page, and there was over 250 pages. And that's just books. That's just books. That doesn't include movies, and it doesn't include play sets, and it doesn't include costumes, and it doesn't include any of those other things. That's just books. So 25 times 250 is a whole heck of a lot.
Yeah.
And they all fit in to Cinderella. I had a friend who wrote a Cinderella, but she did a retelling. What if instead of, most girls want to dream about being a princess, this princess just wanted to be an ordinary girl. That was her tagline, and it's like, there you go.
Yeah.
That's Cinderella, but it's turned on its head.
Right.
Yeah. There was one that was a Cinderfella. It was a guy. there was a Cinderella zombie hunter, zombie killer. I mean,
fantastic, yeah,
right?
Sure.
So
why not?
They're all there, and
Yeah.
I mean, it all stemmed from the concept of Cinderella. So somebody took that little kernel that they knew,
Yeah,
and they went, "Oh, let's do this with it, or this with it, or
Yeah.
ooh, you know, whatever it is." So
Yeah.
the kernel that you know isn't necessarily gonna be the end result. I mean, not every Cinderella story is going to end where Cinderella ends,
right.
in the original,
Yeah.
or in the Disney, or in any of the others. I mean, this story started as the idea of a sailor not wanting to settle down in a port in the Caribbean in pirate times, and now it's in space. So,
There you go.
There you go.
No, but that's a perfect example.
Right.
Yeah.
So every story's been told before. The difference is who's telling the story.
Yeah. I think that's always the argument I make for, you can absolutely never hesitate to help another author. You can absolutely, don't ever hesitate to mentor. Don't ever hesitate to
Beta
give
read for
feedback or
somebody.
beta read, because if you really get down to the core of this, none of us are competing with each other.
No,
It's
my
just,
goal isn't to beat you. My goal is to beat me.
there is never going to be enough quality books being written that someone's like, oh, I don't have time to read all that. Now, I understand. Probably you and I fall into this category. We may all have a stack of things we want to read.
but to be read.
Right, exactly.
That's
But
a room in my house.
I always say to folks, I may have a stack waiting to be read, but I own them. I bought them. All of those authors got paid by me.
Yep.
And
I have boxes of books
Yeah.
that have paid authors.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody picks up this little guy for $5.
Yeah.
I get paid.
Right. Yes.
Whether they
Especially-
read it or not.
Right. And so I was like, don't think about your schedule and this kind of thing and say, well, that's why it's competition. I want people to read my work. No, you want people to buy your work.
Yeah.
Now, ultimately, of course, we want it to be read.
We
But-
want it to be enjoyed. We want it to be
Exactly.
loved like we've loved it.
As a matter of fact, when I have authors say to me that they don't care, oh, did I hear a squirrel? I may have.
Hi, little guy.
They don't care if the book is actually read or not by someone. They're writing just for themselves. I always think, oh, okay, I know the kind of writer you are. And if I really believe that, and if you really believe that you write only for yourself, you write and then you put it in a drawer in your house, the manuscript, and you never do anything with it.
Okay.
That's what I always say. I'm like, okay, that's
Good
a
for
type
you.
of writer. That's just not the type of writer I am.
No.
And it's not the type of writer that I work with.
No. And my goal
Is absolutely, I want everybody to read absolutely everything I've written.
Yeah.
But I also know that you're not going to like absolutely everything I write.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing that people don't understand
Yeah.
is I may absolutely love story A
Right.
that you've written.
Right.
But I start reading story B and I'm like, nah, that ain't my thing.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yes.
That's absolutely okay.
Yes. There was a story that I told this season on Speak about, there's an author who I consider one of my all-time favorite authors, and I had finished all of the books in one, and oh my gosh, they have a series, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it's fine.
Same.
I'm sure it's the favorite books of someone out there, but for me, I'm like, this isn't even why I
Same.
read.
I have an
right?
author who I absolutely love. I picked up a book and it ended up being the second book in a series.
Okay.
For some reason.
Okay.
It was Dragons and I bought it for my daughter, but I wanted to read it first.
Sure.
And it was clear from like the very first couple of pages that it was not the first book.
Yeah.
So I went and found the first book and got the first book too. I read that whole series and I read another whole series by him. And then there was this other book and I saw it and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll read it. It was a book based on a film, which is not usually how things are, but it was a book based on a film.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh yeah. So I got it. And so then we rented the film from, I don't know, the library or something. I don't even remember how we got the film, but we got the film to watch and we watched it. And I was like half hour into this and I'm like, I can't do this. I just can't do this. It was just not for me. And I was like, I can't do this.
So
And so we ended up not watching it. Started reading the book, same thing. No, can't do it.
So interesting.
But I love
this series and this series are fabulous.
Right.
And that other series, the very first series he did, is fabulous.
Fantastic author.
Wonderful author. Great
Was
guy.
the novelization and the film, the novelization, same genre that he was writing in?
So
Or
it was,
that he normally wrote in?
so he writes science fiction
Fiction with a paranormal bend.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of how you would describe it. Yeah, I guess that's probably the best way to describe it. Is the first series that he wrote was ghosts and kind of demons, but not demons,
Okay.
and then the other series was this. He had a main character who worked for an organization within the government that didn't exist. It was a black box organization kind of thing, and they went and found all of these crazy, weird, insane things, zombies and bioengineered people, and all of those kinds of things. So that was the series that I read, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I saw this other series, and it takes place in, it's zombies, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And oh, it's a tie-in to this other one. This is really cool. And then this, but then I got this other one, and it was a werewolf thing. And I like werewolves. I'm good with shifters. I totally get it. But
it was not for me. It was
Okay,
really
so
weird.
It wasn't like it was completely outside his wheelhouse
No,
here.
no,
Because I'm like,
it wasn't
well, maybe it was like a pen for hire and...
No.
But no. This was...
It's still within. It's a paranormal bend.
Yeah.
It's a werewolf kind of thing, and so it was like, yeah, but it just wasn't for me.
Interesting.
But I love all his I think I've read almost everything else he's written, and I'm like, I love these.
Yeah.
They're great.
And I think that's important for people to realize. Is that it's not also like every single book you write has to appeal to your hardcore fans.
No.
That's just not the way it works.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah. It's just... Okay. Okay. See, now I'm mulling that because I honestly felt, I'm like, oh, this is... Because, truthfully, this is an author that I'm like, if I could wake up tomorrow... born again as this author,
right?
Like I would be so happy,
right?
And it's not the money, it's not the career, it's the ideas.
Right.
Because actually, I have no idea how much money they've made or if they're well known. They're not an American author,
right?
I have no idea, and I don't want to know. I've never looked it up.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. The ideas just make my brain want to be bigger, and I already have a really big head. So it's just it's like that kind of feeling.
Yeah. Right.
But this other series that they do, I'm just like, no,
not my thing.
Way,
right?
And I wondered if it was kind of this unique thing, and I love that it isn't.
No, because every author. So every author probably has a book that you just don't like.
Yeah,
you just probably haven't read it yet.
So, yeah.
If you love an author,
absolutely.
I have authors that I absolutely love, and I've read absolutely everything from them, I think, but then I find this one obscure little thing off in the distance somewhere, and I read it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't like that one. So no, that's not an unusual thing. I think it's normal.
It's not the end of your relationship with that author.
No.
It's not the end of anything. It's just,
that's not my
the book
thing
for me.
Right?
Speaking of...
Try it once. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again.
Right, yes. Good attitude.
Here,
Good
why don't
attitude.
you try tasting this food? Why don't you try,
just try
doing this activity? Why don't you try this? If you don't like it, fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it again.
When you walk into a bookstore, you can pick up a book, you can flip through it, you can read that first page or the first 5 of the first chapter, whatever kind of person you are. On Amazon, they do have that feature,
first
look inside the book or first look. You are going to read for us today.
Okay.
You're going to read one page from Perception.
Yes.
How did you go about picking what page you were going to read?
So I wanted to make sure it was a full page. Because one page, if I read one of these pages, that's not very many words.
Right, because Carrie has written in the little pocket size, the little novella. So yes, right, absolutely, yeah. That would be half the book, Carrie, to just read a page from one of those. That's not fair.
It's not, though. It's just it's like, 50 words, 100 words. It's tiny little things.
Yeah.
So I wanted to read to make sure it was a full page.
Yeah.
I also wanted to make sure it was the beginning of a either the beginning of a book or the beginning of a chapter.
Okay.
Or something like that. And I wanted to pick something that really felt like it fit me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm ready.
So I picked the very last story in Perception, which I'll have to put my glasses on because I'm old.
So Perception is the compiled stories that you wrote for the Trinity Project.
Correct.
And Carrie, remind me, I should know as a Trinity author, but our collections, do they include just our 12 or do they include 12 plus 1?
12 plus 1
So the 13th
and the interview.
Is awesome. That's what
Yeah.
I had said the other day, but I'm like, oh, I wonder if that's right.
Yes.
So are you going to read number 12 or number 13?
Number 13.
Cool. All right.
Yes. So the title of the short story is A Fresh Start.
Okay.
And I'm reading actually the first page of chapter 3, which is Brian, the male character. My little click right. So let's put that there. All right. You would really be open to doing a reading and signing in our little bookstore, the gal behind the counter asked. I've been out of touch with my readers, I replied. I want to reconnect with them. I think this would be just the thing to get me over my writer's block. I don't understand, she said. Reading tends to get my creative juices flowing, I explained. When I'm stuck, like I am now, if I read something I've written, it tends to get things flowing again. That's really interesting, she said. Let me check our calendar, but I'm sure I can get you in any time you would want. Whenever is convenient for you guys is probably fine with me, I replied. I didn't want to tell her that I just needed something besides a doctor's appointment to get me out of the house. I needed to do something, anything, that wasn't stuck inside with my laptop in the four walls of my study, with no distractions from the loss of my wife, with nothing but my disease to keep me company. The door chimed and a young woman walked in. She was pretty, but she wasn't my Susie. Tell you what, I said to the clerk. I'll leave you my card and you can email me a time and a day that will work. I see you have customers and I don't want to block your sales. Thank you, she said, taking my card. Have a nice day, the woman said as I passed her. You too, I replied, and stepped out into the sunshine.
What a perfect. So, Carrie, thank you for coming today.
Absolutely.
And joining us on Speak. This has been fantastic. I really do feel that Carrie will have something for everyone.
I probably will.
The Mighty Pen, Unnerving Volumes 1 and 3, Stardust, but the story you want to look for is in ebook form.
And it's called Brandy.
It's called
And
Brandy.
it's only ebook.
And
it's actually available wide. So it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks.
Fantastic.
Smashwords.
And is it carrieaverymoriarty.com?
Yep.
Perfect.
myname.com.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. Love. Magic. Sometimes it seems like love in all of its different forms is as varied as magic. Imagine all of the books, from children's books to adult epic fantasies that include some kind of system of magic, some variation on the theme of magic. And then think about love. Is it all about transforming one thing to another? Alchemy? Love certainly creates its own alchemy. It certainly creates its own transformations, whether it's romantic love, platonic love, the love between soldiers, the love between parent and child, the love between a person and their companion animal. Whatever it is, whatever the variation is, Carrie Avery Moriarty explores, she mines, she discovers new ways to look at love. And I have found with Carrie's work that there is always some kind of magic, something miraculous that comes from her exploration. Thank you for joining us today for Speak. Speak was brought to you by the 501c3 nonprofit Blue Legacy and made possible by grants from the National Endowment for the Arts and the Washington Arts Commission. If you would like to be a guest on Speak, or if you have a question that you'd like us to ask our guests in future episodes, please write to us at blueforgefilms@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
So I've only done an interview once or twice, and it's never really been about me, but this interview was absolutely amazing. Jennifer's a great person, and she just knows how to ask questions to get the answers, which is really what you want to do if you're doing an interview. So I really appreciate her taking the time to talk to me and to have a conversation with me, because that's really what it was. It wasn't really an interview. It was just a long conversation. So thanks, Jennifer.